Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and just like we anticipated, prices continue to go down. And today we're going to review the updated Redfin housing market report. The beautiful thing is, as I said, you guys, home prices continue to go down and inventory continues to go up. And let me make a point real quick about the data set that we have been following since around April of last year. Now we're reviewing median sales price on a 4-week rolling average. The reason why we do that is it gives us the ability to read and analyze the most relevant and recent reporting data. Essentially, absent accessing live MLS data, this data from Redfin allows us to stay on top of the market, essentially not needing to use year-over-year data or even case-shiller data, which is lagging. So this is a really good way to just basically keep our hands to the pulse of the housing market. Now, the really interesting thing is like I anticipated, house prices are going down. However, there is still an overwhelming amount of people that are choosing not to understand what's going on, specifically with the values and prices of houses. And the reality is we can lead horses to water. We can even hold the horse's head underwater to where all they have to do to save their lives is have a mouthful of water. They don't even have to drink the water. They just have to have a mouthful of water to save themselves. And yet, some horses choose not to save themselves, you guys. And when I read these comments on some of these threads, it makes me, what I'm picturing is a horse head. These haters, these trolls on our comment section are just horse heads that are underwater drowning themselves. It's absolutely shocking to me because they think they're doing themselves a favor when the reality is what we should be doing right now is watching the data, calming down, setting goals, figuring out what we want in the housing market. If we don't understand what we're looking for, then we may get trapped on the sidelines. And my job for you guys is going to be to make sure you don't get trapped renting, you don't get trapped on the sidelines, and to give you guys, to the best of my ability, all perspectives in the housing market. Whatever you do, please don't forget to like this video, shoot me a comment below, share the video, and hit notifications. People are not getting notified for my content. I don't know why that is. It is what it is. But the name of the Redfin article that we're going to review today is titled Housing Market Update. Home prices are up 3% year over year. Biggest increase since November. Now, when we get to the charts, I'm going to try again to show you guys how Redfin has been manipulating the trajectory of their charts. Now, I try to explain that. Almost everyone understood what I was saying. A couple people didn't understand what I was saying. We're seeing it again this week. And again, look at the optimism of Redfin. They're so optimistic. Home values are up 3%. But again, that's year over year. Week over week, they've been down for 3 weeks straight. A lack of homes for sale is pushing prices up. Inventory posted its biggest decline in 18 months as homeowners cling to relatively low mortgage rates. The typical U.S. home sold for roughly $382,000 during the 4 weeks ending July 23rd, up 2.6% from a year earlier. Now, last week, the median sales price was actually $382,500, so it is down. Still, home buyers are getting some relief as mortgage rates inch down from the 8-month high it hit a few weeks ago. The typical monthly mortgage payment is $2,599 at today's average weekly rate, down $55 from the all-time high of $2,654 earlier this month. Today's housing market is unusual because prices are increasing despite lukewarm demand. Redfin's Home Buying Demand Index, a measure of requests for tours and other home buying services from Redfin agents, is down 3% from a year ago, and mortgage applications are down about 23%. But inventory has dropped more than demand, with homeowners hanging on to their comparatively low interest rates which is sending prices up. New listings are actually down 22% from a year ago as well. This week's news that the Fed is no longer forecasting a broad economic recession is hopeful for the housing market. Despite the interest rate hikes, the Fed indicated that a soft landing is more likely than they had previously thought, which would mean interest rates went high enough to tame inflation, but not enough to cause a surge in unemployment and send the economy into recession. And quickly, if I may talk about this recession, when we look at the Federal Reserve's own indicator as far as an incoming recession, we can see that right now is the second highest likelihood of a recession in history. That topped with the inverted bond yields, you guys, is spelling out recession. In fact, if we don't go into recession, this will be the first time in history that we had the economic warnings that we do now, and we didn't go into recession. So this will be completely new, first time in history it's ever happened going into recession. So my question is do you trust politicians? If you trust them, maybe we won't go into recession. Personally, I don't. Let's jump into this week's leading indicators. This week's leading indicators, starting with interest rates. Average interest rate was 6.95%. Remember, that's outstanding credit, probably a 20% down payment as well. If you have any challenges, more than likely your interest rate is going to be low to mid 7%. Now, mortgage applications are still down 23% from a year ago. I can feel this myself as an industry expert. Business is down sharply. I would say it feels like it's down way more than 20%. Redfin home buying demand index is actually finally down once again year over year. It is down 3% from a year earlier, and we're at a 4-year low as far as demand. Now, home searches is down 6% from a year earlier. Touring activity is up 11% from the start of the year. Median home sales price is down to $381,750. That's right, you guys. We have the third week in a row of declining median home sales price. And I understand it's the 4-week rolling average. This is the most up-to-date information that we can get about the housing market. I wish Case-Shiller updated their info week over week, every single week, but they don't. And again, you guys, this is down. And let me pull up the old report. So you can see here that last week, median sales price was $382,500. Again, we're now down to $381,750. That's a drop of $750. That is awesome. Now, year over year prices are up. Miami's taking the number one spot again at 11.9%, followed by Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and surprisingly, Anaheim, California, and then West Palm, Florida. Now, the biggest decliners are starting with Austin at a negative year over year decline of 8.8%, Detroit at 6.4%, Phoenix at 4.7%, Las Vegas 3.9%, and Sacramento 3.8%. And again, you guys, that is year over year. So anyone that only wants to follow year over year to follow home values and prices, there you go. There's massive drops around the nation in at least 20 of the top metro areas. Now I'm going to jump into visualizing some of this data, and I'm going to write all over these charts. But again, what I'm going to try to do first is let me try to show you how it appears that Redfin is actually manipulating the trajectory of price drops and price decline. Take a look at this, guys. Starting with median sales price year over year. Now you guys see it says 2.6% year over year. However, again, week over week, it's actually down. And finally, they've actually corrected the trajectory. And what I mean by trajectory is, let me try to zoom in here and let me show you what they've changed. Basically, the week over week pattern from here to here. All right, so last week, it was actually showing this plateaued. So essentially a flat line. So they've changed it, showing a decline. But that's the point I was trying to make. And I also want to make a point that basically last year in 2022, we peaked right here. Now they've changed this, but we peaked around 389. They've changed that and revised it down to 386. But I wanted to point out that we could not break through median sales price record this year. So we didn't beat a new record. We couldn't even make it. And again, that's in the face of outrageous buying incentives from builders. But I also want to point out that here was the peak this year. So the peak this year actually lasted another 3 weeks. I thought we were going to start going down right when we hit that peak, actually. So I was 1 week late. I told you guys I suspect the whiplash downward would start at the end of June or start of July. It actually happened the start of July. But we are past the peak this year. Now let me show you really what I was wrong about. When all is said and done, you guys, here's what I was really wrong about, which is basically the trajectory of that orange line. Basically, this is what I thought would happen to the orange line. I thought it would maybe have a trajectory, maybe something like this, okay? But obviously, there's a lot more toxic buying than I realized that there would be. Good news is we are past the peak this year. We're past it, you guys. We are now going and heading into decline. And again, we're not even done with summer yet. We couldn't even sustain these prices through summer. So again, this should be an indicator on what's going to start happening. Now, this is what I think is going to happen throughout the remaining part of this year. I think it's going to continue to go down in a whiplash-like fashion and end somewhere right here, okay? Now, again, ending somewhere right there would essentially mean that anyone that purchased pretty much after May of 2021 is upside down in their house. So pretty much all of these people right here would be trapped upside down in their house, especially when we add the 8% typical fee it costs to sell your house. In other words, what I'm saying, you guys, is the housing market's broken right now. And as soon as the toxic fear of missing out buying stops, there is nothing left to prop up these overvalued prices, and prices come falling down. And we'll see that throughout the remaining part of this year. We're already seeing that, and we've seen it, if you're watching, start over the last 3 weeks. And some more good news. Here's the median asking price. This is Johnny's set of data. The good thing is this is also going down week over week. You guys can see right here. Here's the trajectory. I can appreciate them being honest right here, but it is going down. That's exactly what we want. We want to continue to see median asking price go down, because median asking price leads median sales price. So this trend is going in the right direction. And when we go down here to home buying housing payments, we can see that somehow housing payments are up year over year, 15%, and people are still buying. And this is the warning right here. This is the thing that people aren't considering. Now, the price is more important. Okay, I'm not saying the price is not more important. The price is more important. However, it's crazy for me to think about how 2 years ago we were way down here. Basically, mortgage payments were $1,000 less per month 2 years ago. Again, if you are priced out, consider yourself lucky. You dodged a bullet. If you bought right now, basically people that are buying right now, you guys, and we see this in the home buying surveys, people that are buying right now, not all granted, but most people that are buying right now are trading in their peaceful life renting, and I say peaceful life because they were improving their credit, they were saving more money, they can afford to probably live a comfortable life. They trade that in to be locked into a financial prison of home ownership. We know that based on this data, based on the historical precedence of what values should be and what payments should be. And right now it's off the charts. It's crazy. People are still buying. Insane to me, but it's not lasting much longer. We're already past it. We're now going to go into the months of reality. And if we hit a recession this year or the beginning of next year, I believe that's going to be enough economic pressure to break through 2024 home buying seasonality. I believe we see that in 2024, again, depending on recession. Now, again, we see pending sales down 15%. I'm actually surprised, you guys, that's not down even more, but that is a 4-year low. You can see that. So it is super low. People are definitely suffering right now. There's no question about that if they're a realtor or a professional in the industry. And that's probably why you guys see so many comments of people that are hating, because they're frustrated. They're not making money. When they're not making money, they get emotional. And we see that. New home listings, unfortunately, and this is bad, is down 22%. We're sitting at 85,000. But I also want to note on something that we know for sure, and there is no guessing on this. New home builders are holding some of their inventory off of MLS. If we were to add all of the shadow inventory or all of the inventory that the new home builders could actually sell, this would be way higher. We know that. And that, my friends, is a fact. So they are manipulating these numbers. And unfortunately, they're manipulating them in a bad way. And this is what I don't like to see. We're down 17% as far as active unit counts. Now, I have a bet with 3 of my subscribers. It's only a gentleman's bet, a $1 bet, that we would hit 1 million active units by the end of this year. We're sitting at right now 770,000 active units. We need to end right about here, you guys, way up here, or I'm going to lose $3, and I really don't want to lose $3. So hopefully we'll start getting more inventory. It has been insane to me how it's really been pretty much flatlined the entire year. Look at this. I mean, the entire year it's been flatlined. I mean, absolutely shocking. Some more good news for us. We have more months of supply again at 2.8 months. This has been going up. We kind of saw that happen right here. You guys remember me calling that, and then it went down slightly, but it's been going up pretty much 3 weeks in a row. So months of supply is going up. This is a beautiful thing. We want this to get to 6 months. Once this gets to 6 months, the housing market is considered a buyer's market. A lot of times we can get much better deals, specifically in resale. We already get insane buying incentives when it comes to new homes. Now, here's what seems to finally be plateauing, which is basically the amount of homes sold above final listing price. Now, that was sitting at 36%. And this is a set of data that we can watch to really monitor bidding wars. And I just want to make a point that it is at a 2-year low. So we're under where we were at in 2021 and in 2022. However, 36% is still pretty bad. We're over 2020, not much over 2020, but it does tell us that there is still some toxic home purchasing. Another beautiful set of data. This is listings that had price cuts. This leads median asking price, which leads median sales price. And again, we have a massive trajectory upward. This is fantastic. It's now kind of keeping pace with last year. We obviously want it to be above this red line right here, but the great thing about it is it's not far off. So odds are we're going to be continuing the price declines throughout the remaining part of this year and probably greatly into next year. Again, I think that's really going to depend on the recession and government bailout. And our last set of data, and this is also wonderful data, this is home buying demand, and we are finally at a 4-year low. We finally broke through right here. You guys can see that basically demand has been going down for the past couple of weeks. And again, you guys, we have a 4-year low of demand. Finally, it took people about 4.5 months this year to actually wake up and realize that these houses right now are overvalued. But the good thing again is Redfin home buying demand is showing -3% year over year, and again, a 4-year low. So I want to pull up one more chart, which is Fred's median sales price. Now, the interesting thing about the data that I'm about to show you is it actually reports median sales price on a quarter over quarter basis. So you can review data multiple ways, year to date, week over week, month over month, year over year, and quarter over quarter. But what I really find interesting is when we look at prices on a quarter over quarter basis, it shows a clearer picture of how much home values have continued to drop. Now, this was updated July 26th and is going to Q2 of 2023. This is both resale and new homes. And again, if we look at just quarter over quarter, this is to Q2 of 2023. You can see here $416,100. This is showing us that home prices have dropped from peak over 13%. You guys, I can almost call a crash. I have defined a crash as a bare minimum crash of 15%. We are extremely close. I really find this interesting that it shows absolutely no growth whatsoever. It's basically showing a continuation of free fall. And let me show you what this graph looks like when we expand it. Let me expand it to our last crash going to 2000. Look at this. Can you guys see the bubble? And can you see the decline? And do you guys know what's interesting? A lot of people are still saying, oh, we've hit bottom and home prices are now going to go up. You can just refinance later. But again, when we look at a quarter over quarter median sales price, home values haven't even gone up yet. This is absolutely crazy to me. I mean, look at it. We can see exactly where it's peaked and we can see a massive downward trajectory. I mean, seriously, guys, when are people going to wake up and start realizing that things are not okay in the housing market, and to wait right now is a good thing. We should be applauded for sitting out of the housing market and being one of the few in society that's waiting for the Federal Reserve to do their job. I want to pat you guys on the back if you're choosing to stay on the sidelines. Now, if you're forced on the sidelines, obviously work on your purchasing power, remain hopeful, become an expert in your local housing market. But how crazy is the narrative out there? What's really interesting, talking about these horse heads, I reviewed a comment the other day that said, Travis, we're not going into recession because I went to a bar and it was full. And I got to tell you guys, if consumers are basing a recession based on what's going on in a bar, that doesn't make me really hopeful that they're following the data and making good decisions. I think right now that everyone should be working as hard as possible and saving as much money as possible, because usually on the other side of this thing, the people that are saving money right now are going to become winners because it's going to be so hard to get money in the future. And I'm trying to make as many people aware of that possibility as I can. And I really hope I'm getting through to you guys. I really hope you guys are getting the value, the insight, and the perspective from my videos. Now, other than that, if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck and I hope you win.